Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Courtside Soundoff podcast once again. I'm Josh Cirquinoff. He's the one and only Angel Ortega. A lot to talk about this week. We got some UFC Vegas 38, UFC Vegas 39. Obviously, the biggest fight this week being Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury 3. The trilogy going down in Vegas. As always, sponsor this week, Rogue Energy. You guys have heard about them by now. If you want 10% off your order, the leader in all of energy products, use code Soundoff at checkout. It's code Soundoff at checkout for 10% off for all of your energy needs. So, last Saturday night, Angel, it was a card. It was certainly an MMA event. Of all the events I've seen, it was one of them. I will say, though, it wasn't bad. I think we kind of agreed beforehand, before we started filming. It wasn't a bad card. It was a weird one, though. We can start off with the main event. Tiago Santos defeating Johnny Walker. Unanimous decision, all judges having it 48-47. This was not a terrible fight. I didn't hate it as much as most people did, just based off looking at Twitter, looking at Instagram, stuff like that. People hated this fight. I thought it was just kind of two guys that were technical, knowing that they could get knocked out, so they were a bit more hesitant. What do you think about the fight? And personally, how did you score it?
I had it for Santos. I thought Santos won.
Okay.
I mean, it was a close fight. Let's be 100% honest with that. It was a close fight, regardless of what anybody says. It was a close fight. Just keep it plain and simple. I mean, it wasn't, as much as you want to say, on that weekend, it wasn't the worst judge fight of the night, or, that weekend,
Mm-hmm. Of course. And honestly, I totally scored it for Santos, but ultimately it came down to that fifth and final round where he landed that huge overhand right that nearly dropped Walker. Had he not done that, I think he would have lost. I mean,
he landed two big shots in that round? Or was it a previous round?
Yeah, it might have been a previous round. I honestly only remember that last shot in the fifth, that one big shot. It's possible he landed another one, but just
he landed multiple throughout the night, and then Walker ate multiple of them too.
Yeah, Johnny Walker he showed that he had a bit of a chin on him after obviously Corey Anderson knocked him out, and then Ryan Spann nearly knocked him out in the fight before that. But as much as the story is that Tiago won this fight in kind of a weird, boring fight. I think I get your opinion on this because I've seen a lot of people really kind of, obviously now he trains at SBG, Johnny Walker does. This is his third loss in 4 fights, and a lot of people kind of noticed that he was a lot more hesitant to pull the trigger. He was throwing a lot more feints, but he wasn't throwing much out in terms of output just to begin with. What are your kind of thoughts on Johnny Walker moving forward from here? I mean, dude, it's crazy to think about, but go back, 2.5 years. He had one of the biggest hype trains we'd seen for a guy in a long time. I mean, he had 3 highlight reel knockouts against good guys all within the span of a minute. And obviously, they were grooming him to be the title challenger. How did he beat Corey? He would have gotten it. Now to 3 losses in the last 4 and switching camps. A lot of people are blaming his camp for the fight. What do you think about Johnny Walker moving forward?
I mean, as far as a career, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's in a bad place. I mean, he's still able to, especially in that division. I mean, I feel like 2 solid wins and you're back in the mix. I mean, look at Anthony Smith.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take him that long. And granted, he did, come in as a replacement. What was it, the Jimmy Crute fight? He wasn't no. He did fight that one. But I thought there was one in there that he came in and came in as last minute replacement. I might be wrong. Regardless, though, he found himself in good positions. Obviously stuff happened in some of those fights that led to his advantage, right? In one of those. In the other 2, he came out and performed. Mm-hmm. So for Johnny Walker, it's just a matter of just stringing it back together again. It's not going to take very long. I mean, look at it. Again, Thiago Santos. Those last couple losses, he just got to win over a name like Johnny Walker. He won't be too long before he's in that mix again. So it's all a matter of time and whether if he decides to make the adjustments. And he's not a bad fighter. We know that. He's got the skill set to improve. To blame his camp, I mean, yeah, was there things his corner was telling him that probably weren't true? I mean, you can say that. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Is SBG the best for him? I don't know. I think he is the only one who knows that. Only a fighter knows who the best fit for him, No fighter, there's no camp. There's very few camps who go after a fighter rather than a fighter going after a camp. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. It's just a fact of life. No camp is going to be chasing someone or any fighter to be in there. If you want to come, you can come, and it might work. It'd be very rare the one that might be that like, oh, yo, we want this guy because I think we can work with him well,
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe there is the rare occasion where, their name gets mentioned because they're having a trouble with a particular thing and they think they can help with the adjustment, right? And obviously it looks good on them and they just like the guy and they want him to succeed, So I don't know. Is it or is it? That's up for debate. There's a lot of great camps out there if he does want to change it. He's trained at multiple places. He's been all over the world. I mean, he's been at Tiger Muay Thai. He's been in gyms in Brazil. Obviously, he's been in gyms in America. And obviously, he's with SBG now. And obviously, he's getting married to a woman from Ireland, I guess. I don't know. I saw that he announced that he's engaged. So I'm assuming she's from Ireland. I don't know. I might be incorrect there. But, let's see what he does going forward, if he does decide to change camps or not. I don't think he will. I don't think SBG is necessarily a bad fit. I mean, there's a lot of other great camps, in my opinion, with a lot of other great fighters. I mean, probably some of the best gyms in the world are in the States. No disrespect to any of the gyms outside of the, U.S. Obviously, I mean, we have AKA, fucking Elevation, Rufus Sport. I mean, those 3 gyms are fucking amazing. So, I mean, if he ever does want to change, I mean, America's the place to be. And obviously with the PI being such a big thing now and the UFC being like, hey, use the fucking PI, you have access to it. I mean, moving to Vegas would never be a bad option, but who knows what his plan is going forward. Like I said, it was not going to take a lot of wins for him to get back in the mix.
Mm-hmm. Of course, and I just kind of wanted to get your brief opinion about that, obviously, because I've seen there's been a lot of talk about it, but I'm kind of on the same wavelength with you. I mean, ultimately, I don't think his corner did him, a service, honestly, on Saturday with kind of John Kavanaugh saying that they were up, that they were clearly up, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Whenever it was a very, very close fight, I think that he needed more activity in order to get it done. They didn't tell him to put more activity out there. But also, we're one fight in. I mean, he's one fight into this camp, like working with them. And honestly, I liked a lot of what I saw. I mean, as much as I enjoyed Johnny Walker's fighting style, his fighting style was not conducted to a long career. You know what I mean? Just balls out, doing crazy stuff. And yeah, it's really, really fun to watch. But we clearly saw, like, he hit the wall, and he hit it hard, dude. Like, he got knocked out by Corey. He got dominated, before that. I mean, the fight following that. And then obviously he faced Ryan Spann. Nearly got knocked out by Spann, had a great comeback, but still, he was inches away from, 3-fight skid with that current style. So him going to more defensive-oriented, throwing out a lot more feints. We're one fight into this whole thing. He faced a top 5 guy in Santos, and he was, one good round away from winning it. So I think it is what it is. I think a lot of people are really overreacting in that regard. He's also very, very young. He had a huge frame for the division. Johnny Walker's going to be fine. Let me just tell you guys. Johnny Walker, he's going to be fine. Don't worry. Co-main event. This one, not a whole lot to talk about, but I did want to get your opinion. Kevin Holland, Kyle Dukakis ending in a no contest. Round 1, obviously, the game plan for everybody now fighting Kevin Holland is to go and try and wrestle the shit out of him. Kyle Dawkins obviously tried to do that. Wasn't having much success. They separate. Massive headbutt. Unintentional, but still a head clash did happen. And Kevin Holland actually goes out. He gets knocked out. He wakes up on the ground, starts fighting off Kyle Dukakis. Dukakis ends up getting in a rear naked choke. And then after a seemingly 25-minute review, they decide to label the fight as no contest. Really, it seems to be pretty clear that most people think no contest is the right call. But do you think that it was the right call, kind of given that it's setting a precedence for the future? And also, are you cool with them running it back so quickly?
Yes and yes. I'm on the page for it. The night of, I'm like, if that's not a no contest, that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That was instantly what I said. And I was like, they gotta run it back. And they are. So both guys are down. There was no animosity there. So let's fucking get it.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. One thing, I'll say this much. The fact that it's a no contest, great. Zero complaints about that. I am a little bit hesitant about them running it back so quickly. They're going to be fighting in, I believe, 37 days. Something along those lines. They're having a very, very quick turnaround time. And that's just, personally, I think even he didn't get knocked out by a punch, but he still got knocked out. So I think maybe they should be a bit more chill about that. I mean, we've seen what happens in the past whenever guys get rushed back after getting put to sleep, and it generally does not go well. And just for his brain, I don't think it should rush back so quickly. But, it is what it is. As far as the rest of the card goes, I thought this was actually a pretty fun one. But just you personally, what are some of the fights you want to go and highlight?
Bad. Let me have it up. Well, Alexander Hernandez, man, let's put it out there. I mean, he was kind of set up for this one. Let's be real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put it out there. It was kind of set up for his success. And look, he came out, he did it. They put him against a lower level guy. Okay, let's go up a step. Guy who's still a little lower than you, or a lower level competition than what you were fighting, and let's just build up again. Honestly, they just got to keep going that same direction with him. So it was a good thing, but obviously they need to also increase the competition so he's not also trailblazing through everybody that's coming through. And obviously it was a guy who came in on short notice, missed weight, I believe, and it was making his UFC debut. So there's a lot of stuff there. So maybe the next opponent will be also a good matchup for him, and also he'll be able to take something away from it, and also get a good win for himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, it was a lower level competition, but I think he kind of needed that. I mean, he's fought. We went over it last time, but he has fought a fucking murderer's row, dude. I mean, he's fought the best of the best of the best in that division, and still all in his 20s. I mean, he just turned 29 last week. So honestly, I was fine with him having this fight, and he looked great, dude. I think we clearly see that all the physical talent is there, man. He's just got to get it fine-tuned, and I'm not sure if he needs a new camp. I know that he did recently move to Factory X in 2020. So ultimately, it's we'll see what happens to him, dude. But I'm not going to give up on that kid, dude. He has so many good wins. He has so much good physical talent that, anything is possible, for sure. I thought whenever he debuted in 2018, I thought that kid was going to be a future star. And I think he still might be. I mean, we'll still have to see, though. That was a hell of a knockout, obviously, over the debut. And Mike Breeden, like you said, took the fight on short notice. Nico Price, Alex Oliveira. This was not, this one was 75 of the night. These are two extremely entertaining guys. Nico, obviously, I'd say is the most entertaining fighter in the UFC right now. Full stop. Alex Oliveira has put on banger after banger over the last few years. This fight was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was not all it was hyped up to be. I don't want to jinx it, but it really does look like Alex Oliveira is on the latter half of his career, which is really sad.
You just noticed?
No, but I noticed. I mean, honestly, after the fucking Randy Brown fight, but it is still sad.
I mean, he's riding a loss streak right now. Isn't he 3, maybe even 4 at this point?
He's lost 3 in a row, and I thought he lost to Peter Sabata and Max Griffin, which are his 2 fights before that.
And before that, he had lost 3 in a row.
He had lost 3 in a row. You can make a very good case that he should be on an 8 fight losing streak.
It's crazy that he's 33. He looks a lot older. I'm not trying to be mean or nothing, but
hey, dude, he's living that hard life, dude. I mean, he has 11 kids.
Wait, he has 11 kids?
Yeah, he has 11 kids.
Holy fuck, that man.
I believe all of. Don't quote me on this. I don't want to give incorrect information. I think it's also that he has
different baby moms.
11 kids, 11 different moms.
My God, what a guy!
Cool guy of the week.
A lot of child support.
Oliveira. He also, I mean, you just read his wiki sometime, dude. He got 2018. I know he had to pull out of a fight because a grenade was thrown at him,
what
and he got yeah. Okay, so actually, I have it pulled up right now. Oliveira suffered a leg injury and went for surgery on Christmas Eve in 2018 to remove fragments of a grenade when he went to get gasoline for his mother's car in Chorizo, Brazil. And a grenade was thrown in his direction while his family members were on an altercation with thugs with machetes, knives, and a grenade.
What a fucking badass.
And then he also, 2019, Oliveira got into an altercation with a security guard during a party. Next morning, Oliveira showed up at his wife's apartment where he allegedly assaulted her, fleeing the scene on a motorcycle with their baby daughter.
Allegedly.
This is all alleged. And this happened 2 years ago, so I'm not really sure.
What the fuck? I had no idea about any of this.
This is how it ends. Oliveira also said they were only. This is in 2020. Like he gave a statement about it like a year later. Oliveira also said they were only having an argument and that they have not separated. On the contrary, his wife is pregnant once again.
Wow.
Cool guy of the week, Alex Oliveira. It did not go his way last Saturday, but still forever cool guy of the week. Christophe Jocko defeated Miesha Cirquinoff. I'm not sure how to say after that, but
I know. How'd you feel about that fight? First of all, I thought it was good. Dude, I don't know. I just felt like Cirquinoff could have had that, honestly.
I thought Cirquinoff, he was so close, dude. I don't like the move down, honestly. I thought 205 is the place to be for him.
You think so? I thought he was going to do great. That's why I actually had him picked.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to win too, just because I'm not high on Jocko.
But he was close, dude. He's so fucking close. Maybe it would work. It's just that fight was close. So you got to give him time.
Jocko's a bad man, though. I mean, it's.
No, Jocko's a good fighter.
Yeah.
But there was like 2 fouls in that fight too, weren't there?
He poked him in the eyes twice.
Yeah, exactly. That was the other thing.
And by the way,
that
that pissed me off because I saw that he poked. Okay, so I don't remember.
There was an eye poke and a groin strike.
Never mind.
Right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was an eye poke and a groin strike. But in the third round, he poked him in the eyes. And Cirquinoff took a minute, and he was like talking shit to him in between. I'm like, how do you not take a point from the guy at that point? Like he's talking shit across the octagon on him. He wasn't going to his corner either. He was like trying to get up in his face while, Cirquinoff was taking his time.
I think that's why I was mad. I think that's why I was mad about that fight because there was 2 or 3 fouls in there, and I was like, really, this fucking blows.
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought he should have honestly taken a point after that. I'm like, how are you gonna do that, man? How you do that? But yeah, I mean, as far as the rest of the card goes, I mean, there were ultimately a couple of other ones. Casey O'Neill picking up a nice win over Antonieva Shevchenko. What is Antonieva doing at this point? You know what I mean? What is her game plan for the UFC? Because she's 36 now.
We ask this every single time she fights, man.
But here's the thing. It's like whenever she first came in, there was I was like, why are you fighting at 125? But I kind of got it. Because whenever she was coming in, it was like she's undefeated. She talked about in interviews. She's like, I'm going to beat girls before they have the chance to even get to my sister. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty badass. Like, she's the big sister. And she came in, she wrecked a couple girls in a row. She was on one of the first Contender Series seasons. I think it was season 2. And then, and it looked like she was undefeated. She had a kickboxing background. She was like a champion and blah, blah, blah. And then she just got dominated by Roxanne Modafferi, and it's been all downhill since. But this one was really bad because she was tuning her up on the feet, but she just could not even have the most basic of takedown defense. So Casey O'Neill just took her down again and again and again, eventually got the TKO. So I don't know what she's doing, dude. I really don't. But we got to give a quick shout out to 2 fighters who are now, one of them is retired, one of them is out of the UFC. 2 Brazilian legends, one of them being Bethe Correia, retired on Saturday night. We talked about it last. She missed weight once again, but she went out. She announced her retirement. A pioneer of women's I guess technically women's UFC fighting. She's been in there since like 2013. She's been there for a long time as far as women go. And then shout out my boy Johnny Eduardo, who did get cut earlier today. And honestly, I forget about it sometimes because his record's not that crazy. He 28-13, only 41 fights. That's a decent amount. Angel, this man's been fighting since 1996. He is on the verge.
What the fuck, really?
He's on the verge of his 25th year anniversary of fighting. He's been in the UFC for a decade, Angel. He nobody remembers because he fights yearly. Everybody forgets it, and he doesn't look old. But he's 43 years old. It's just insane. It's just insane, dude. But yeah, he did get cut, unfortunately. Yeah, he's been fighting since 1996. He said he's going to continue his career. So good for him. But I don't know, dude. And then obviously that was a tough fight against Alejandro Perez. I never liked that matchup for him anyways because Alejandro Perez, pretty good guy. He just had a rough streak there. And I guess one last fight to talk about. Douglas Silva de Andrade. This is a bad man right here, dude. I feel like because he's had a couple of tough fights, people have kind of forgot. This guy that came into the UFC 22-0. He lost to Zabira. Obviously, good dude, trained with Khabib. He lost to Rob Font. He lost to Petr Yan, and he lost to Lerone Murphy. That's it. He has wins over Marlon Vera, Henry Barones, Cody Gibson, Henan Barao. Like, he's a bad man, and he fucking flattened a dude on Saturday night. So, shout out Douglas Silva Andrade getting back into the win column. But, Angel, this fight card this weekend, a bit of an up and down one. It is going to be taking place earlier because there's a huge heavyweight boxing match going on, obviously, which we'll talk about later in the show. But main event, dude, honestly, for the strawweight division, as far as women's MMA goes, I said it, while we were talking off air, this is about as good as it gets, dude. This is straight up as good as it gets. Mackenzie Dern, 28 years old, ranked number 4 in the women's strawweight division, 11-1. Obviously, she took some time off after having her kid, and she's come back in full force, dude. She's come back in full force. She's beaten Hannah Cyphers, Randa Marcos, Verna Jana Jaroba, and Nina Nunes, all in very lopsided fights. None of them were close. She worked her way up all the way to number 4, like I said, taking on Marina Rodriguez, also the fellow Brazilian. 14-1-2, only lost to Carla Esparza via split decision. After that loss, she rebounded with nice wins over Amanda Hebos and Michelle Watterson. It's a very close matchup, very clear striker versus grappler matchup. I feel like UFC's been doing a lot of these lately. A lot of very clear grappler versus striker matchups. But Angel, what are your thoughts on the main event of UFC Vegas 39?
Absolute fucking banger, like you said, for that weight class. I mean, those are probably the 2 most talented kind of gals, like pushing their way up the division and trying to reach that. Obviously, Amanda Hebus also in the mix, who obviously recently had a loss against Marina Rodriguez, which that's why we find ourselves here. I'm assuming that would have been the other matchup if she would have lost or would have ended up winning. But we find ourselves here, man, and I mean, it's exciting, like you said, classic striker versus a grappler matchup. It just depends. And we say this a lot of times, but it's just going to come out who executes their game plan better, right? Obviously, Mackenzie Dern now with the more improved striking. I mean, a little prone to not go for the takedown as soon as she can, but obviously doesn't have the highest takedown percentage at times. I mean, she'll get them, but sometimes it's kind of hard there. But she can still get to submission even without the takedown. So it's not like she needs it anyways. That's the one thing about her, that she doesn't necessarily need the takedown to get to the submission. And if she ends up on her back, she's just as dangerous as she was on top. And Marina Rodriguez, man, I mean, obviously her striking early on, if she can set the pace really well and throw out those leg kicks, get her range established, make it hard for Mackenzie Dern, not allow her to come in. I mean, it's kind of really set up for her. I just think that right now, if Dern is really on this, path where her striking is better established, she has this great jiu-jitsu, she could probably beat Marina Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I also think Mackenzie Dern's striking has always been a bit underrated. It's obviously a bit rudimentary. It's very basic. But, dude, she has a lot of power in her hands. She's a great right hand in general. I know that she's been training boxing under Jason Perillo. So, I mean, I think her striking is getting better. But as far as the fight goes itself, I mean, we kind of talked about, obviously, the keys to victory there real quickly. But who do you think actually has got this one? For me, it's an extremely 50-50 type fight.
I'm picking Dern.
Okay. Fair enough. For me, I'm also actually going to pick Mackenzie Dern. Now, for what it's worth, I did go back and forth on this one. I think Marina Rodriguez, she's huge for the weight class. Not in terms of like her weight, but she's like very, very tall. She knows how to use her length, so on and so forth. Mackenzie Dern, I think the big key for me is that, like you mentioned, she doesn't need the takedown. Her takedown's not actually spectacular. I believe I read the stat somewhere like her takedown percentage is 10 or 20%. Yep. Something very, very low. But she still wins these fights just because if you're grappling with her at all, if she gets into close range at all, you're done. Like she doesn't need some extraordinary thing to obviously win the fight with a submission. And Marina Rodriguez has okay jiu-jitsu. I know that she is a purple belt. I know that she's not. But for me, the big thing is, very rarely, it's hard to get her to the ground, but she also hasn't fought many grapplers. I'd say Amanda Hebos is a relatively good grappler. Didn't have a whole lot of success. But the one that kind of draws me back is the Cynthia Calvillo fight. Not many people remember that one. Basically, Rodriguez was winning that fight for the first 2 rounds pretty clearly. Calvillo gets her down in the third and just batters her because Marina Rodriguez had no idea what to do on the ground. Once the fight actually hit there, because very rarely do people actually take her down. because she's so big for the weight class and has very good takedown defense. I don't know if she's going to be able to take the fight there, but I will say this much. I think Mackenzie Dern, she'll be fine on the feet if it stays there. She would obviously be losing the fight, I think. But I think she has enough power to kind of keep, Rodriguez guessing. And also I think that obviously she doesn't need to get the takedown to get the submission. But I am going to take her via submission. But overall, it is an excellent fight. Co-main events, neither one of these guys are in the top 5, or they're going to be anytime soon. But Randy Brown taking on Jared Gooden, 2 guys coming off of excellent wins. Obviously, Randy Brown submitting our boy, cool guy of the week, like I mentioned earlier, Alex Oliveira, back in April. He's won 3 of his last 4 fights, all of them via finish, one loss being to Vincente Luque. Jared Gooden, on the other hand, he's had an interesting stretch in the UFC, I'd say. Obviously, he had a war of a fight with Alan Jouban, did not go his way. Had a fight with Nurmagomedov, did not go his way. But he did knock out Nicholas Stolze in his last fight in July. It's a bit weird this one's the co-main spot, Angel, but who do you got?
I got Randy Brown, bro. I think he'll be able to come out, do his thing, get the takedowns early on, and honestly give Jared Gooden a bad night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair enough, man. I think this fight's closer than what people think. I read somewhere that I don't have the exact figure in front of me of how big of a favorite he is, but I believe he is one of the biggest favorites on the card. Probably just because of Jared Gooden's lack of experience at the top level. His win over Nicholas Stolze. I think Stolze took that fight on like 2 or 3 days' notice too. So not a whole lot there for him. So I'm going to take Randy Brown as well, but Jared Gooden has a lot of power. He's very tall, very lanky, so anything can happen, though. As far as the rest of the card goes, my man, what are some of the other fights you want to highlight?
Let's just go down one, man. Tim Millian, Matthias Nicolau. Nicolau had that, what was it? Who did he fight? Was it Cape before this?
Yep.
Yeah, Manel Cape, and a decision that was close, but I didn't think he got at the time. And obviously, Manel was having those issues with the output and not winning fights because of it. He's a good guy. Don't get me wrong. He has a good record, but wasn't impressed with that. But prior to that, he had lost to Dustin Ortiz on the first round finish. Now he finds himself with a former title challenger, Tim Elliott. Lee Summit's very own.
Lee Summit's very own, Tim Elliott. Yeah, man. I like this fight a lot. I really, really do. I'm on the same side as you. I don't think Nicolau did enough to win that fight against Cobb, but it was close enough to where I didn't really complain about it. But still, dude, shout out Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott on the quietest 2-fight win streak I've ever seen. Wins over Ryan Benoit and Jordan Espinoza. If he picks up this one, he's getting there, dude. And it seems like improbable too, right? Because he's ranked number 9, but there was a point in time where he lost 3 fights in a row. He lost 4 of 5. But also, whenever you look at the names he lost to, goddamn, here's the funny part: none of these guys were even in really title contention whenever he fought them. They just so happened to all be top 5 guys now. Figueroa, he fought him before he was champion. He lost via guillotine. He fought Askar Askarov, and one of Askarov's first fights in the UFC, I believe. And then he fought Brandon Royval in a fight of the night that he lost. Obviously, since then, he's picked up 2 dubs in a row. He's taking on Nicolau, like I mentioned. That's going to be a banger of a fight, dude. That's a hell of a fight. And while we're talking about the main card, dude, let's go ahead and go one down. I'm still on the Maria Agapova train. It does not stop, my guy. It does not stop. I've hyped her up so much from watching her in Invicta just completely wreck girls, okay? One of the most violent female fighters I've seen. She just fights. She fights like she's on coke, honestly. There's no other way to say it. She fights like she's on coke. She comes sprinting out of the gates. Now, doesn't always go her way because of that, as we saw in her last fight against Shayna Dobson, where she gassed out seemingly immediately. But, she's taking on Zavita Mazzo, which should be, both very young girls. They're both 24. I'd say Sabina is much more proven, but I still think Maria, she may pull it out, man. Big fan of hers as well, still. And then also Deron Winfield Haas should be a fun one. And, we talked about it a little bit off air, but Alexander Romanov, for some reason, is taking on Jared Vanderhoek. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But not only that, but he's on the prelims. He's one of the earliest fights on the card. That's a bit strange, man. A bit strange.
That is pretty weird that they kind of put him there out of anywhere they could have put him.
Yeah, so that personally makes no sense to me personally. But one last fight I do want to highlight, man. And something I mentioned to you off air. It's like one of the weirdest fights. It is the fight like it's one of those ones that like if you told me that it got made on short notice, it would make sense. But this fight they just booked it. Like they just decided to put these two dudes together. Steve Garcia is a guy that normally fights at bantamweight. He's actually only had one fight at featherweight, and that was in 2018. So he's been fighting at bantamweight. He had a run in Bellator there. He didn't do a whole lot. He notably lost to Joe Warren and Ricky Tercios. His best win was Sean Bunch. He gets signed did not get signed out of the Contender Series in 2019 because he missed weight for bantamweight. Goes on, fights in LFA, gets short notice called to fight Luis Pena at lightweight. And I guess he just decided that he liked the weight, fighting at 20 pounds to normal, because I guess he's going to be staying there for this fight. And he's fighting Charlie Ontiveros, who normally fights at 170. So for some reason, they're just putting these two guys in the middle. And I will actually encourage you guys, Charlie Ontiveros is one of the weirdest signings. Now, I will say, I know they signed him on short notice to fight Kevin Holland back last year. But even withholding that, I'd encourage you guys to go take a look at Charlie Ontiveros' Tapology page. It's a little bit strange, man. It's a little bit strange. I want to say he has one win over a guy with a winning record. So do with that information what you will. Obviously, he lost immediately to Kevin Holland in their fight back in October of last year. So he's making his return. This is a very weird fight, though. On paper, the weirdest fight of the weekend. Two guys not normally in either one of their weight classes. Just decided to meet in the middle for no real reason. There's no beef between them. UFC decided to make it. So, Angel, is there anything else on this card? Anything else on this card you want to highlight?
Well, the fight that's been tried and made multiple times of Phil Haas versus Deron Winn finally happening. You remember Deron Winn, Josh? He's the 5'5",
death, right?
I don't know if that was him, but he's 5'5", Josh, and he fights at middleweight. It says 5'6". He's like 5'5". He fights out of AKA. DC's
He's
like
on that DC 5'9" type stuff, huh?
Yeah. But he's 5'5". That's the thing. He's actually 5'5". Like he's actually like short, and he's fighting at middleweight. He's taking on Phil Haas, who Phil Haas is like a legit 6 foot. This fight's been made or been tried to made like a few times already. It hasn't happened. Hopefully it happens this Saturday. So who knows if that's gonna go. And I have one more. Silvana Gomez Juarez is a girl that I've had like an eye on because sometimes I'll go on Topology and click around and look at records, see people who they fought. She was supposed to fight on the Contender Series. I don't know if it was this last week or the upcoming week. The UFC just said, fuck it, we need someone to replace because Lupita Godinez's opponent fell out. And she's coming in as a replacement because she was already going to make weight anyways. And she's 10-2. I don't know too much about her, so I'm definitely excited to see what she can do this upcoming Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough, man. And I was not joking about that either. Deron Winn, after his loss to Gerald Miesha back in March 2020, tested positive for amphetamines. So, yeah.
Maybe it wasn't coke. It could have been something else, man.
It could have been. I will say this much, though. He's a guy that, man, I wish he could get his weight under control. I really wish he could. Go take a look at like his wrestling history. Dude is legit, man. The fact that he's winning fights at middleweight. He beat filthy Tom Lawler, who is, he fought in the UFC for a long time, dude. I want to say he's even winning fights in the PFL now. Tom Lawler's a bad man. He's beaten Patrick Cote, CB Dollaway. I want to say he knocked out John Vellante a couple of years back. Good dude. I remember Deron Winn like 30-26'd him on the undercard of like Liddell Ortiz 3, which prefer to not talk about that card outside of that fight, but yeah, dude, Deron Winn is an excellent guy, but just
he should be like a 155 or at highest. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say 155. I think that's pushing it.
You think a 170? Come on.
We've seen guys around here, just because like I think if you were to go any lower than 170, it would not be good for him. Just because like I think he'd be losing too. A lot of his wrestling style is based off of like using like his weight and being very, very strong. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, he could do that at a lower weight class and he would just have to have a bigger weight cut. It's just that at these, I don't think
Well, he's having a big weight cut already.
I mean, he's doing all right. Like don't.
Well,
get me
he's
wrong.
missed weight before middleweight.
I know that's the also other thing. There's issues. The weight thing is, but the thing is, let's be honest, Josh. Regardless of how much, he'll never be a high-ranking guy at 185. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No.
And let's be realistic. It wouldn't be at 170 either. I could see it at 155 if you got the weight under control.
Yeah, I could see that. I just think he needs to figure his weight out in general, dude. Like, because
he could be big at 155 and have great. He could fuck up guys at 155, in my opinion.
I'll say this much: I don't know if he should move down to 155 or 170. I just know that if he's gonna fight at 185, he's got to get some knee implants, dude. He's got to get some height on him because he is so small for the division.
The other thing, he's also small, so that's why I think 155 would be a good place because he could still be small and big with the weight.
Yeah. I was thinking he got signed way too soon. I mean, I understand why they did it because once you're beating Tom Lawler, he's a very good guy, and once you've beaten a couple guys in Bellator, I kind of get it, but it's been a tough one for him, man. It's been a tough one, and honestly, Phil Hawes is a bad man. So it's not exactly going to be just an easy walk in the park for him, dude. I mean, Phil Hawes is coming off of 3 wins in a row in the UFC. Beat Kyle Dawkins. I know he knocked out Jacob Malkoun. Yeah, 3 in a row. So, and his only losses are to Julian Marquez and Luis Taylor. So he's lost to good dudes too. So it's a really rough matchup for him, dude. That's a tough matchup. But yeah, finally we're getting that fight. For some reason, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, they should have a really big heart on for watching that fight or wanting to make that one, I guess. So it is what it is. But Angel, I kind of feel like we mentioned it top of the show. Kind of mentioned about how the UFC's counter programming around this to avoid it, but it's time. And you know what? I'll give you props, man. Anytime I drew the line a couple months back. I'm sure you remember. I was like, I'm not talking about this fight until it happens, just because it has been postponed so many different times. I think the original number is 4 to this point. It was originally scheduled for July 18th. The trilogy. Obviously, we're discussing Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury 3. Obviously, they had a first fight in 2018 December. That was a controversial draw. I know, Angel, you and I both agree that was completely fine, but a lot of people like to bitch about it. They pretend that it was like the worst robbery of all time because people like Fury. Okay. They had a rematch in 2020 February. Obviously, Fury won that one. They then had a trilogy fight scheduled for July 18th. That was postponed, obviously, due to COVID. It was then postponed to October, then December, then it was postponed to July, and then it finally got made for October. So here we are, Angel. After all this time, seemingly it seemed like this trilogy was not going to happen. Obviously, Fury and Joshua will go down in the pantheon of amazing fights that never happened. Well, not necessarily. It could still hypothetically happen, but that one was pretty much, they had the deal of, you guys got to win your fights and then it'll get made. And that obviously didn't happen. 18 months after their second fight, damn near 3 years after their first, what are your thoughts just a couple of days away from Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3?
It's heavyweight, man. What do you ever expect, right? That's the one thing we love about heavyweight boxing. You never know what's going to happen with these guys. Because there's always the possibility of that just big hand landing. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, what was it now? Maybe I don't know when this fight happened. Actually, it's probably been a year now. Our boy Poviekin, man, he came out and got the finish over what was his name, Dillian White. I mean, he was getting beat up, man, until he landed that fucking uppercut and put out Dillian White. I mean, that's shit that can happen. And for Deontay Wilder, he doesn't necessarily need to land that uppercut. I mean, he can land just that right hand somewhere near the head, man, as long as it's clean and it's not even perfectly, he's not even perfectly down on his feet and has his hips turned or anything like that. He just needs to land it somehow, wildly flailing. And obviously with Fury, man, we know his style. We know what he's capable of. We know he's super weird, awkward, heavy movement, light on his hips. I mean, we know the matchup at this point. It's dependent of what's gonna happen. You know, if Tyson Fury's gonna come out again, bring some pressure, or if Fury has improved anything, or if Wilder has improved anything, and he's improved his just raw boxing skill, and is able to kind of have a better game plan as far as like if he's on the back foot, I can do this, I can set up a counter, and just do something different than look for the right hand the entire time, which is something that it's been his bailout for his whole career, but it's worked his whole career for 40 fights, so there was nothing to change. Now he finally found a guy who was able to move around the shots, be able to eat some of the shots, has experienced the shots twice now, and is gonna have to make the adjustments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, I think that it is very, very interesting to me personally. Just kind of, I feel there's a lot of people writing Wilder off, simply just because of how the second fight went. And I don't think I think this fight is more likely to be like the first fight than the second. Not because I think Fury's going to come out with the same style, but it's important to remember part of the reason why the second fight was so lopsided is because in the third round, I believe, that first knockdown happened, and that knockdown happened because obviously he hit him on the side of the ear. His equilibrium was lost for the entire rest of the fight. I believe he had a busted eardrum or something along those lines.
I don't know. It was fucked though.
Yeah, he had no balance for the rest of the fight, and he still made it to round 7. And that's part of the reason why he couldn't throw anything back. So I think that's not entirely indicative of his performance this time around.
Also, plenty of time to heal.
Yeah, and I think that he's done all the right things. Now, I don't like that he's still doing the whole, saying Tyson had loaded gloves, all that stupid shit. Because honestly, I mean, if he wants to call Tyson Fury a cheater, he can call him a cheater. Tyson's tested positive for roids. We know that. That's not if you want to go there, sure, fine, but don't create conspiracy theories and I don't like that mindset from him. But in terms of internally, he's handled everything the right way. He's changed his entire training situation. And you can argue maybe that's doing too much because it was obviously his first loss, and it was weird circumstances, but he didn't have his legs under him and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But still, I do like the fact that he is completely willing to go to a guy in Malik Scott, who is a very, very good boxing mind. He obviously, those two fought years ago, but he went to him. He's like, be my head trainer. I'll work under your tutelage, all that stuff. And he's completely, switched around everything within his camp. I know he got rid of Mark Breland. I know he's still friends with his other trainer. I want to say JD's, but I don't believe he's a big part of his camp this time around. So he's changed internally everything around. He seems ready to go. He seems intense in this one. I know that obviously there's a whole lot of hype hitting on this one for Tyson. I know that he is a 3-1 favorite. Angel, I know that you mentioned it's very, very hard to predict heavyweight, but if I were to go ahead and say, gun to your head, who do you got on Saturday?
I'm picking Bomb Squad.
No.
Yes, I am.
How? Why?
Why the fuck not? That's exactly why, Josh. Why the fuck not?
You know what? Fair enough, man. Fair enough. You're going Bomb Squad. You're obviously going Deontay Wilder. I'm assuming you think it's to be a knockout. I'm sure, right?
It has to be. That's the only way this fight can fucking end and this trilogy can end. It has to be a knockout from either one of them. It has to be. I don't care what happens. Tyson Fury either has to knock out Deontay Wilder, or Deontay Wilder has to knock out Tyson Fury. This is how this has to fucking end.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I'll go ahead and give you that. So
I refuse these guys going to a decision.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. So I'll say it. I'm very surprised that you're actually going ahead and you're actually going that way. I am actually legitimately very surprised. But as for me personally, man, I gotta go Bomb Squad. I got Tyson Fury to dominate.
I love that energy.
No, I'm not doing it though.
I still loved it.
I know. I just thought I had to do the fake out, man, just because it's fun to say. Look, man, I'm biased, right? I picked, for the longest time, I've said Deontay Wilder is not the best of these 3 heavyweights, the big 3. Now it's like the big 5 at this point because Joshua won't stop losing. But we have the big I'm not sure why. I didn't mean to take shots at him. That's why we have.
Shots fired, Josh.
That's why we have a big five now. We have
What
Fury.
you do, you?
Nothing personally, but we not. I mean, it's true though. That's why we had. It originally was a big three, where all three of these guys had not lost. But then now we have, because Fury and Wilder were the only ones that would fight each other. Josh just kept on fighting other guys and he kept on losing. So now we have a big five. The big three's turned into a big five with obviously originally Fury, Josh, and Wilder. Now you can add Usyk and Ruiz to it, but whatever.
There's more names to come too.
Exactly, more names to come. Our boy Adam Kownacki is coming back on the undercard, which we'll get to.
Had a job at, man, on the undercard too, just putting his name out there.
We'll get to that too. But yeah, man, I'm admittedly very, very biased towards Deontay Wilder. Like I said, I've never once thought that he is going to outbox these guys, but I always said, man, like, he is the guy that would beat these guys. Like, he's the dude. You just simply cannot avoid that power for 12 rounds. You just can't do it. And honestly, Fury didn't. And if boxing was done by a human being, not done by a human being, and it was done by a timer, he lost the first fight via knockout. That's not what boxing is, so it's a pointless thing to argue. But he still put him down twice. He got very, very close to knocking him out. So going to the second fight, I did pick Wilder again. I'm sure we have that on record here. But for this third one, man, I can't do it, man. I don't like the excuses that he's been making. Can he still beat him? Absolutely, 110%. And he's done all the right things, like I said. I mean, he's not just working like, in his original fight, like he was just laying the right hand, that's all. Now you see him in camp, you see him with the sparring, all the training footage just came out. He's going to the body a lot more. He seemed like a completely different guy. But I truly believe once he gets in there, Fury starts going on. I think he's going to do the same game plan as the second fight. I don't think he's going to go back to that first game plan at all. I don't think that's going to happen. I think now what him and Sugar Hill kind of discovered is that, like, Fury, he's very, very agile. He's very, very good with his movement. And we always knew that on the defensive side of things. I think, like, they've entirely discovered, like, oh, yeah, shit. That works on offense, too. Like, so, and I think now they discovered that, like, all right, well, let's keep on moving. Let's keep on getting better. And as much as we talk about Wilder getting better, dude, I think Fury, I don't know if he's gotten better, but I don't think there's enough for Wilder to bridge the gap. And I think once he gets in there and gets hit by Fury, once Fury starts putting the pressure on him, I think a lot of that training's going to go out the window. I think Tyson Fury's going to win this, and I think it's going to be worse than the second fight. And I'm not sure how that's possible, but I think it's going to be worse. Just because, like, Wilder, I love the guy, and I think this is, like I said, he's done everything right. But I think Tyson Fury, he looks like a man possessed right now. Just, you could tell he is very pissed off about having to do this third fight. Just because he saw all the dollar signs go away once Joshua lost. And I think he's going to take it out on Deontay Wilder. It sucks that we're having this huge trilogy finally come to an end, but it is what it is, man. We're going to finally get an epic conclusion on Saturday night, one way or the other. Undercard. Very rarely in boxing do we talk about undercards, my guy. But let's go ahead and get into it, dude. Obviously, there's a couple of different fights in this one. Obviously, Frank Sanchez taking on F.B. Ejibai, like I mentioned. Robert Helenius taking on Adam Kownacki, Jared Anderson back as well. There's a couple of other fights I know as well as the undercard that I don't have listed in front of me. But as far as some of the undercard fights, what do you think about some of those?
I mean, they're all bangers, dude. Like I told you, dude. I don't have the full list in front of me, but I know, like, for once, it's like that's worth your money. You know, honestly, like, I'm not telling you to buy it, but if you want to buy it, it's worth your money. Like, actually, legitimately worth your money. Because some of those fights are gonna be fucking. They could be fucking wars. Some of those have a lot of, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, things that could happen after it. I can't think of the word right now. Connotations? I don't know. Is it the word for it? I don't know. There's some stuff that, depending on the result, other things might happen because of them, which are going to lead to other great matches, essentially, is what I'm trying to put. I don't know why I couldn't word that better.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good. Yeah, man, I completely agree. And for me, like, the biggest fight here, I mean, there's a couple of very, very good ones. Adam Kownacki taking on Robert Helenius is completely flown under the radar. I mean, you didn't even know what was happening.
And it's sad because those are probably, outside of the two guys obviously getting the card, they're probably the highest ranked guys,
Yeah. And obviously, this is a rematch of their fight, which happened back March 2020. Helenas was honestly getting battered before landing a massive right hand, taking Kanaki out of it. Ended up getting a TKO in the 4th round. And that's all. It was one of the better feel-good stories because I believe once he won that fight, he technically was named the mandatory for AJ, but it didn't come together mainly due to COVID and a bunch of other stuff. And so now they're going to be running it back. And Kanaki is one of those guys that a lot of people have very, very high hopes for. I still do as well, honestly. I think, like, if you look at his record, I truly think that Helena's fight was a bit of a I think it was honestly just a case of him having a lot of very, very tough fights back to back to back to back. His entire style is just predicated on moving forward, looking for the knockout, and doing a lot of throwing an insane strike count, but also his defense leaves him open for a lot of big shots. And I think he took, 1,000 hits, 1,000 strikes in that Areola fight, something insane.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah, I believe they both threw 1,000 in that one. So
it was a banger, yeah.
Yeah, and then he turned right back around 5 months later, and then he obviously fought Helenas. So, yeah, definitely a tough one there, though very, very good fight to have on the undercard. Like you mentioned it, dude, honestly, it's very difficult for us to say, you should go buy this card. But honestly, whenever it comes to anything, not necessarily MMA, because UFC's been stacking the shit out of their cards.
And they're only getting more stacked.
They're only getting more stacked. And that's why they keep on doing nothing with the fight nights. But, yeah, they're only getting more stacked. But, yeah, as far as boxing, dude, I don't think we've ever once recommended for people to buy it. And I wouldn't recommend people buy anything, honestly. But I will say this much. At the very least, you'll be getting what you're paying for.
This one, yes.
Yeah. Or you can just go to your local Buffalo Wild Wings and do that as well. That's likely what I will be doing on Saturday night. But
not me.
And as far as the rest of it goes, as far as the rest of this card goes, as far as boxing, MMA, is there anything else you want to talk about before we close out?
Josh, we forgot one thing. MVP versus Lima, my guy.
Oh my God, dude. Oh
the
man,
real controversy of last week.
I missed it in the run. That my bad, guys. My bad.
It was so bad you forgot about it.
You know what? I gotta say it wasn't that bad of a fight.
It wasn't that bad of a fight, no. I'll be honest, no.
It just was not what people wanted.
Yes. That's
but I will go ahead and I will ask you this because I put out a tweet which triggered a couple of different people. I said that I said something along the lines of, say it with me, everybody, not every close fight is a robbery. And that triggered a couple of different people. Just because a lot of people...
You're not wrong about that.
People hate MVP so much, dude. They cannot clear their head. They really can't.
So he gets a close decision, and he's a terrible human being.
He is a terrible human being. The judges were paid off, actually. I think we need to talk about that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump straight into it, dude. A, what did you think about the fight? B, what did you score the fight? Because
I thought it was an all right fight. I didn't think it was amazing or anything. It was okay. Nothing great. Should have been a 5-rounder, honestly. But
which Bellator has now officially changed.
Yes, officially. Thank God. Holy fuck, I can't believe that was in a thing before.
It doesn't take effect until January, though. So sadly, the upcoming ones like Fedor Johnson.
Which is so fucking dumb. But whatever. Honestly, though, for Fedor, that's probably a good thing. So
that fight's going 1 round, dude. Oh, it's going 1 round.
Yeah, dude, Fedor's knocking out Tim Johnson, I know.
No, it's not.
Yes, he is.
Tim Johnson is legitimately good. It's not happening.
I know Fedor is not. Oh, so now you want to suck Tim Johnson's dick? But
I'm
when
not.
I was hyping up Tim Johnson,
no, I'm just saying he's good.
Okay, fuck off. I don't want to hear this bullshit.
Fuck off. Oh, I'm sorry because you have your fucking Tim Johnson fucking body pillow, bro. I'm sorry because I didn't think
that'd be a big body pillow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't think he did great in a fight. He lost.
I didn't think he did great. I just thought he deserved more props prior to the fight.
Hold on. So you thought he deserved more props prior to the fight?
Yes, because I thought he's a legitimately decent guy.
No, he is. But here's the thing. I never said he wasn't that. And you know what happened? You know what happened in that fight, Angel?
He lost, yeah. I thought.
All 5 rounds.
I mean, there probably was one in there that was arguable, but whatever.
We gotta, dude. When does Fedor Johnson happen? I think it happens on the 23rd.
Not too long from now. We might have to be in person for that.
We'll be throwing elbows if we can't do the podcast in person. We will be scrapping. But yeah, let's not talk about that one because we have so much energy saved for that fight. Let's stick on MVP Lima for a minute here. What did you score the fight?
I thought it could have been I thought it could have been for Lima 2-1 round 1.
2-1.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. I can't complain. Just, I mean, if you guys didn't watch the fight, and I don't blame you because, I mean, honestly, it was a UK card, so it happened at our time. I think it happened at 4 o'clock our time, and also it was a Friday card, so I don't think a whole lot of people actually saw it, which honestly leads way to a lot of the criticism, oh my god, he got robbed, blah blah blah. Anyways, what actually happened? Round 1. This is the hardest round to score. I didn't think it was actually that hard to score, personally. Round 1, he knocked down Douglas Lima. MVP knocked down Lima. I believe once or twice, but I know that he knocked him down with the first punch of the fight. He knocked him down. Lima got a takedown, wasn't able to land actually any ground and pound for the last 90 seconds of the fight. Of the first round, I should say. Second round was clear Michael Venom Page. Round 3, clear Lima. So that's how the fight went. I thought it was actually a clear 2-1 for Page. So I mean, it wasn't a fight where a whole lot happened. It was a weird fight.
It would honestly the fight would have been more decisive with 5 rounds. That was my big gripe because I was like, I think Lima could have won that, but that whole first round was so fucked that that's why I would have wanted to see 2 more rounds. And I wouldn't have I feel like this wouldn't have been an argument if there would have been 2 more rounds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There wouldn't be all this controversy. It would have been a decisive win. We would have known who would have won that fight very easily. Because that first round was just with how scoring works and everything. It was just kind of do you value the one knockdown? Because obviously the other knockdown was a push down because he rushed him and he went down. It wasn't a knockdown. I don't know if you heard about that whole talk about. When they showed the different angle and he didn't actually knock down Lima, it was actually a push down. He rushed him and he ended up going down.
That's also the problem is because he does that whenever he throws punches, sometimes he'll throw the little leg sweep as well. So I'm not sure. Now, he actually did legit crack him on one of those.
Oh, yeah, he did legitimately knock him down one time.
Yeah, but I know. But then he also hit him at the same time he leg swept him. So I'm not sure if that counted as a knockdown or not. I would like to see that. I'm not sure if Bellator keeps stats. I don't think they do like the UFC does. Otherwise, I'd check to see how many official knockdowns he had.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't see the issue. To be completely honest with you, I really had no issue. And then I hopped on Twitter.
Hey, all the controversy comes in the first round. We know round 2 is MVP, round 3 is Lima. All the controversy comes first round, depending what we want to score and who we thought was trying to finish the fight more efficiently in that first round, which is so hard because I didn't feel like either guy was trying to score. I almost fucked it. That might have been one of the times where I wouldn't have actually had an issue with a 10-10.
I actually did see there was somebody I knew who actually did score to 10-10. I don't remember who it was, but yeah,
it was so low activity. Because it was so low activity, I would have been like, I don't have an issue with that.
But the only reason I gave it to MVP is because it was very low activity, but the activity that was there is what do you value more? MVP legitimately got a knockdown with the first punch of the fight. That was legit. That's the one I remember. The other, you can argue leg sweeps and all that. He cracked him with the first punch that he threw, which just to show how for you guys who didn't watch it, the lack of activity. First punch he threw was a minute into the fight. But he did drop him with it. It's do you value that or do you value Lima getting a takedown in which no ground and pound happened? That's why I gave it to MVP. But if people wanted to give it to Lima, that's fine. I'm pretty sure I thought we changed the rules to where we're not supposed to value meaningless takedowns anymore. I thought that was a thing that happened.
Like I said, it 5 rounds would have been a decisive decision in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. But one quick follow up, just because I know you said that you thought you could have given it 2-1 Lima. I know I said 2-1 MVP, but close enough. I didn't think it was any real hassle. Would you rather see MVP taking on Lima next in a trilogy fight, which MVP actually mentioned because he said, yeah, I want to do 5 rounds. I want to put a solidified ending on this thing. I want to see MVP get the title shot.
I want the rubber match because I already know that Yaroslav Amosov fight is how it's going to go. If Paul Daly can take down MVP. Imagine what our boy Asma.
Hey, MVP took down Paul Daly too, though.
He did. But still, Paul Daly took down MVP.
Fair enough. You know,
Josh, I could take down MVP. No, I was kidding.
here's what I think they need to do. I think they just need to do what you said. I think they need to run that back 5 rounds and then give Jason Jackson the title shot. Give the ass-kicking machine the title shot that he deserves.
And I think that would be a funner fight anyways than MVP Yaroslav, which is
weird. Incredibly
weird.
well-rounded, too. Like, that's
well-rounded.
a hell of a fight.
Even doing my boy Jason Jackson robbed my boy Neiman Gracie of this position. That's all I'm going to say.
That was a close enough fight to where I didn't really.
Oh, fuck off.
You thought Neiman Gracie won that?
Yes.
Actually, I think I did too at the moment, but it was close enough for me.
It was
for me to
bullshit
not really
after
care.
the whole eye graze on the cage.
Oh yeah, but then you know but doesn't he get your respect though? He turned right back around like 1 month later and he beat Paul Daly. Doesn't that get your respect a bit?
No, that was cool. Yeah, he did that. I give him credit for that.
I mean, just for that alone, that's why I'm saying to give Jay, because like just take a look. It's like either you're going to give it to MVP, it's coming off a fight that he arguably people disagree whether or not he won or not, or you're going to go ahead and give it to Jason Jackson. Let's go last 4, okay? He's on a 5-fight win streak, but I honestly don't know the guy's name, the 5th one. But last 4, Paul Daly, Neiman Gracie, Benson Henderson, Jordan Mien. That's a hell of a run for Bellator, dude.
No, you're not wrong. Knowing them, though, they'll probably give the fucking title shot to MVP and make him fight fucking Douglas Lima.
That's
in a co-main event under that card.
It's in a co-main event. That's super accurate. Yeah, I mean, I think they got to do like what you said. I think they got to do the trilogy, 5 rounds. Just do it, dude. Because I don't think anybody.
It's perfect. Start of the year trilogy. You start off your year hot. MVP, fucking Lima again, and then on the fucking, or actually no, fuck. They can do a double co-main, honestly.
And here's the biggest problem. Here's the reason why I'm saying it personally.
2 5 rounds in one night.
Yeah, but here's the biggest problem with it for me personally, is because if it'd be one thing if like MVP won, it's like if he won even in a decisive but close decision, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But the way he fought and the way that fight went, it's like you somehow made me not interested in an Asimov fight, and I was legitimately really hyped for that before.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I said. That was literally my whole point right there at the end.
Yeah, like they somehow made me just completely uninterested. So I don't know, man. Bellator, they've been making a lot of fights though, man. They made a lot of fights recently. So I'm very happy with a lot of moves they're making. So yeah, shout out Scott Coker. I know he, like I mentioned, he announced like a shitload of fights on Ariel's show.
Really?
Oh yeah, he announced Cyborg's next fight, which
that's against
Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Instead of Kat Zingano, and I saw
that was the whole controversy. Yeah.
Yeah, Zingano was like, I'm not sure why they didn't give me the fight, but okay. Which I didn't either, because Zingano versus Cyborg is legitimately.
That's for the culture, bro, and it's the right fight to make.
It's legitimately the only fight that is interesting to me for Cyborg right now, because Zingano is so tough. She's a great takedown game, great jiu-jitsu. It very durable, great gas tank. It's interesting, right? Like obviously Cyborg would probably be 3-4, like 3-1, 4-1 favorite.
Cyborg's a favorite in every fight ever, unless she's fighting Valentina Shevchenko or Amanda Nunes.
Fair enough, but still, like I'm saying, like she would not be as huge of a favorite. Dude, that's not very interesting. The Kavanaugh fight, but I am a big fan of obviously Patricio, did vacate the lightweight title, so now his brother Patricio is fighting for it against Peter Queally in the rematch in Ireland.
Wait, that's on the line for that fight?
That's official. Oh yeah, that's all, the belt's on the line.
That's gonna be a banger of a fight, because honestly it was a banger the first time.
Oh yeah,
it was in Ireland.
Yep, in Ireland. James Gallagher, originally the main event, now put for the co-main.
Oh shit, he got pushed down with Patchy Mix.
Yep.
Wait, so what other fights did he announce?
Oh, he's not official yet, but they said that they're looking for a rematch between AJ McKee and Patricio, sorry.
Because of how it ended?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. After so many years, yeah, that's.
And then he didn't announce another fight. But yeah, he just also made official the 5-round thing.
Okay. That's a lot of news though for Bellator, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, same here. So that'll be fun. As far as the show, as far as Bellator, UFC, any other news, anything else we feel like talk about before it goes out?
No, man, I think we got into it pretty well. Excited for next week. Obviously, Bellator's back, right? They're gonna get their final matchups for the Grand Prix, right? Is that next week?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's gonna be big for us. Obviously, we'll know what's gonna be the final matchup for that light heavyweight Grand Prix, and that's how that. Obviously, some little preview and predictions on all the possible matchups for that, and the opponent change up on that. And obviously, next week we also have another card which has gone through some changes, some unofficial stuff that was made official recently. But hey, man, still should provide for what it is. Still some good names on that, so I think we have some stuff to look forward to. But after that week, absolute fucking bangers out of
bangers.
They just bang it. God damn it.
Yeah, dude, hell of a week. I mean, once we make it past the greatest main event of all time between Aspen Ladd and Norma Dumont, once we get past that, on the same day we're going to see Fatal versus Tim Johnson, and then Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori. Goddamn, dude, what a day!
It just gets better after that.
I know, dude. And then obviously we have the pay-per-views back to back. They're just incredible, dude. Incredible.
Back-to-back weekends off for me. Got it off just specifically for that.
Nice.
I'm committed to this. I live for this.
You're in it.
I'm in this.
Yeah, dude. It's fun times. Obviously gonna be fun this Saturday night, obviously with Wilder Fury, but dude, combat sports is popping right now, man. It's completely popping. As far as the rest of the show goes, if you guys want to go ahead and give us a follow at Courtside Sound 1 for stuff all relating to the show. Feel free to, subscribe on YouTube. Give us a follow on Twitter, like I mentioned. He's at Ortega_01. Give us more follows, guys. Come on. What are you doing? And then I'm at Josh Evanoff. Make sure to follow me for all my works related to Cage-Side Press and now the Sportster, which I recently joined their team this past week. Obviously, they're actually, I didn't really mention much about it on Twitter, but obviously they're actually one of the largest pro wrestling sites. I'm not joining for pro wrestling. I'm actually one of their being brought in to help them head up with some MMA content. So that'll be fun as well. So be sure to follow them. Be sure to follow me. Hope you guys enjoy the show this week. As always, peace and butt grease. Mouse click.